Hello, assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Khushamdi, ji ayanu, khuyumorkha, pakhair rakhle, ishpata, washmale. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Well This Morning. This is Shaza Hashmi. And because this is just me today, which is why I kind of forgot some of the greetings that we usually do early in the morning as well. But I really hope you guys are having a good day to start with, of course. And I always suggest that a healthy plate of breakfast is actually going to lead your day into a better or a positive direction as well. Other than that, Jummah Mubarak to all my lovely audiences out there. I really hope you remember me, my entire team in your prayers today. I will do the same for you guys. Here's the thing, do you see these balloons? I don't know if you saw them in the long shot, but there are a lot of balloons in the studio here today. It's not my birthday, but it is a special day today, and we'll get to that why, but I have something actually to share before that. It's a news, yes, but the purpose of me wanting to share this was that sometimes, a lot of times actually, Shazad and I tend to share a message early in the morning. And sometimes it doesn't set well with our audiences. When you guys would write to us that, hey, we didn't like you saying this or that, sometimes it is on a lighter note and we do mention it. So just learn to take a joke. And of course, we try not to say sensitive things out there. We are really cognizant of that. We are responsible citizens of the society as well. But I think people should generally just learn to take a joke. And to, quote on that as well, or rather to give an example, I think this was over the past 2 weeks or 1 week, especially that Bernie Sanders was actually made into a meme. And each and every single person around the globe was sharing those memes of how he went to the orientation or inauguration, as well, of when the new president was sworn in. And the good part was he didn't actually mind or he didn't go bad mouthing about this entire incident. What he did was he actually posted those memes on his own website, made inventory merchandise out of it, t-shirts and whatnot, and made $1.8 million and, donated that to charity. Isn't that a good thing? And this is the kind of spirit I want people to have, around me especially, because positivity is what we're looking for. There will be 1,000 things to bring you down, but you have to look for that one thing that will lift you up as well. And I think that is the motto of life too. Well, ladies and gentlemen, coming back to why balloons are here in the studio today. PTV World happens to be celebrating its 8th birthday today. Yes, that did happen. It was back in 2013 when this channel was officiated. So, the entire purpose was that Pakistan Television Corporation did happen to, of course, already exist, but they wanted to have a channel or a medium where they would actually communicate their own message in the English language, especially aimed at doing so to more than 40 other countries in the world, not only Pakistani audiences. And that was the first ever time an English channel was introduced within the country. And till date, I think it's safe to say, and I'm proud to say, that this is the most sustainable English channel in the country. I use the word sustainable because, yes, there are some others as well. So for this very show, I think it was going to be fun if I would be in conversation with some of the anchors over here, especially the ones who were here when the PTV World started back in 2013. So we managed to get our hands onto the best ones over here as well. Just a small tribute or a mention before we do move on as well. My senior producer, Jamshed Sultan Saab, who happens to be running my show recently, actually is, I want to say, a veteran as well. He's been serving PTV for more than 20 years now, but especially PTV World. He was here when it all started as well. So Jamshed Saab, if you have any stories of PTV World, keep telling me in my ear. I'll keep sharing them as well. Now let's be introducing my perfect panel. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, my most favorite anchor person over here in PTV World. He's always well dressed, well spoken, well groomed, and sometimes he's funny as well. I'll just give him that. Omar Khalid, but for you, hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam, and how are you today?
I'm doing great.
And you're looking very pretty today as well. I'm seeing you after a long time for a morning show because I never, kind of wake up in the morning and log on to PTV World.
I know that, and we're always literally like begging him, Omar, please come to the show, we want to talk about this. He's like, oh, if I wake up, but we'll get to that. Next to me, ladies and gentlemen, someone who I did one of my very first bulletins with. In fact, for a straight year, I was doing my news bulletins with him, and he would correct my pronunciation. He would tell me what means what, and he was a massive help. And this is what I want my colleagues to be like. And this is none other than Farokh Fayaz. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to my show.
Walaikum salam, Shiza. Thank you very much for inviting me.
It's always
good
a pleasure
to be on your show. I think this is the 3rd time I'm coming to your show.
Yes, and thank you for doing that actually, because there are times when our guests do get slipped. I always ask Farokh because he's usually here early in the morning. So thank you for that, Farokh. Next to Farokh, ladies and gentlemen, a lady I know for more than 7 years now. That's because we studied in the university together. And now we happen to share the same workplace, which is amazing. She is fun, she is intellectual, she's smart, intelligent, and well, you have seen her on your TV screens as well. She's a newscaster for our channel over here. Hajra Satti, Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Welcome to Well This Morning.
Thank you so much for having me here.
You've been here before, haven't you? It's your second time, probably.
No. This is my first time on your show.
No, for real. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so now I know what kind of questions to ask whom. And ladies and gentlemen, last but not the least, because I wanted this to be a fun show, so we have one of our very favorite artists over here as well. He happens to be a singer and also a guitarist for now, none other than Shiraz Ahmed Toor. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome.
Walaikum assalam. How are you, Shiraz?
I'm doing good. So Shiraz, I'll get to you in a bit because I have to start my conversation over
Okay.
here. So you guys, first of all, congratulations on being a part of something that I'm really proud of, right? So to begin with you, Umar, paint me a picture of the first day of PTV World and Umar at PTV World.
Well, I still remember I was working for the Urdu channel, PTV News.
Yes.
And somebody referred me to PTV World. They said, why don't you join PTV World? And I said, well, is it something that's starting? And I didn't even know there was an English language channel starting. They said, yes, they are auditioning the different anchors for shows and news. So I just went up. Muzammil Ahmed Khan Saab was the one who was in charge of PTV World at that time. He was interviewing the people. So I came inside and the first thing he asked me, Umar, are you really interested? Because we thought you were very into the Urdu channel. I said, no, I do the Urdu as well as the English news as well. You know that, and I've done shows in both languages. So I said, all right, let's audition you. I went through the audition process despite the fact that I had already been doing television for quite some time for PTV News. And I did it the first day, today, in 2013. I was fortunate enough to do the 10 p.m. bulletin. That was the second main bulletin. The first bulletin went on air at 7 p.m.
Okay.
And the second major bulletin was at 10 p.m. So I did the 10 p.m. bulletin.
Were you nervous?
Not at all, because I had already had the experience of,
but
being
it was
on television.
English, it was a total shift, and also I think it's a pressure when someone tells you this is your first bulletin, this is the channel's first bulletin, isn't it?
Yes, that way there was a certain pressure, but I think you'd agree with me, every time you do a show, every new show, every new bulletin anybody does, there is a certain anticipation in the very beginning, for the first 2 or 3 minutes. Once it begins, then you kind of go with the flow, and you're quite comfortable with that. It happens to everyone, those little jitters, in your stomach.
It does happen, right? That's true. But this was really interesting. I mean, you were already working here, and I want to actually talk about the shift from Urdu to English as well. Because you know what, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing. We do, actually, Shahzad and I get a lot of criticism for doing our show in English. What people don't realize is the entire channel is in English and it's for a purpose. There is definitely a strategy behind it as well. But when we talk, so there was this one time we went to Tawseeq Bhai's show and we had to do it in Urdu. It was such a challenge.
Why?
I'll tell you why. Because we love Urdu, we know Urdu, and we do it fluently as well. But because of this, I want to say, theory of ours, we couldn't do straight Urdu sentences.
All right.
We would incorporate, some phrases of English or whatnot, so I feel like it was a little hard. But we'll get to that. So Farooq, you were working with other channels as well before PTV.
Yeah.
So was PTV World your first PTV?
No, just like Umar, I was part of PTV News. A few years I was working here before PTV World launched. And worked in PTV News. I was primarily an English news anchor.
All right.
So I worked here for 2 years, and then I went to Dawn when it was an English channel, and then to Express 247. And this was my second coming to PTV. And I also did 1 year of Urdu news anchoring in PTV News. And during that time, they were in the process of launching this English channel.
Right.
So we used to hear that they were in the process of launching an English channel. Some work was going on behind the scenes, but nothing was clear. So, but then finally we realized that yes, the channel is going to be launched. And as Umar said, that the initial team, which was headed by Muzammil Ahmed Khan, they approached us and they told us that yes, the government at that time was interested in launching an English channel. So there was a lot of excitement. I was excited, but Shahzad, there was a lot of skepticism also. Particularly, I felt very skeptic also. People used to question, would this channel survive? Would it even be launched? Because later we came to know that there was a very strong lobby against this channel, not only in PTV, but also in the Ministry of Information, who didn't want this channel to be launched.
Oh, wow.
So there was a lot of skepticism. Plus, I had worked for 2 English channels before also, Dawn and English and Express 247. And I had seen both of them closing while I was there.
Right.
So as you know, the English channels are not financially stable.
True, true, true.
So there was skepticism also, but thank God, here we are 8 years later, and the channel is still there, it's surviving, it's thriving.
But Farooq, that's a good thing that you did realize that there may be, like it was a 50-50, right? It was sort of a gamble at that moment as well. But if you look at it now, do you think there was or there is an essential need of a separate English channel to actually target our audiences outside?
Of course there is.
Yeah,
that was the thing.
Why do you
thinking
think
at
so?
that time. Obviously, because if you want to cater to the wider audience in the world, the medium of instruction, the international medium of communication is English.
I'd like to interject here a little bit. I used to work for an embassy for a certain time, and I still remember the press attaché at that embassy used to translate all the important news events that used to come on the news into English or into the native language. And there was a lot of difficulty for the diplomats, especially, to understand what was going on, what was the Pakistani narrative.
Okay,
so, this is what PTV World also does. It puts out the Pakistani narrative in a language that the majority of the world understands.
True.
So, for people, whether it be the NGOs, whether it be all the embassies, whether it be the Pakistani expatriates across the world, whether it be the youth of Pakistan that are quite literate and literate in the English language as well, it's important to have an English language channel that caters to them.
Absolutely, I do agree with that as well. But now moving on to one of the very new members of PTV World over here, Hajra, did you ever think, because I know you, right, so I want the audiences to know this as well, while you were studying or preparing to be a journalist, did you ever think you were going to be an on-screen person, first of all?
No, I didn't think so I would be that, because I was more into the journalistic reporting
that's what I
on
thought.
field. Yes, but then I worked in a bank for a certain period of time, and then I resigned because I felt that my intellectual, faculties are rotting there, and I wanted to do something, which I really wanted to, do that, which was reporting and journalistic work. So luckily at that time there were sort of auditions were also open, and there was also an internship opportunity here, and I applied here and got selected, and I started sort of preparing myself for the audition, and I got the audition and got selected here. So here I am now at PTV.
And I think it's great because you know what, with you, Hajra, I know that you would not just come and read off the teleprompter and be like, hey, this is my news, I'm done with my shift. You do go into it, you read about it, you inform yourself, which is a good thing. So do you think that this responsible job, because you cannot go wrong on screen, right? Did it add a lot to the persona you already had about being informed, or did it do you any better?
Yeah, of course. PTV polished me a lot, and especially in polishing my intellectual faculties, because as you know, that we are both are journalism students, right?
Yes.
And
I mean, I tried. For you, you're a real journalist.
Yeah. So it gave me the opportunity to report also here, and I'm also a reporter here, right? And yes, reading is a very big responsibility, because you can't go with some misinformation and disinformation on screen. And I really like PTV here is that we really do not go into the sensationalist sort of reporting here. We are more into the responsible journalism here, and we do not provide the sorts of flashy news and that sort of desensitize the public out there.
Absolutely.
Because we do believe that good journalism lasts, rating doesn't last that
and
much.
I think I'm really happy about that as well, because there was this one time. So I went to, I think I want to name it actually, I went to G News for my auditions, right? I really wanted to do Urdu. And while I'm auditioning, they're like, is headline ko, you have to keep repeating it to sensationalize or to put the message out there that this just happened. And I could not do it. I could just not do it. I was like, you know what, this is not how I'm told to do at my work at PTV. They're like, oh, that's PTV and this is a private channel, this is how you have to do it, which made me actually realize the sanctity or the...
And we're really proud of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the real kind of news that we want to put out as well. So, Umar, did it ever happen that you had... It's a weird question, but did you ever happen to have a blunder sort of on screen, where I remember one of the persons in the MCR telling me that you were on with a female newscaster and she was putting her makeup on and the camera went on air? I mean,
things like that have happened on air.
Yes.
Sometimes what happens is that there's a live event going on and they cut you. And I'm like asking for something, or I'm waving my hands and I'm waving my hand and I'm on air, So that kind of, but it's then your responsibility as an anchor to kind of make the audience feel as if this was like part of the thing.
It's natural, right?
It was natural. Make it natural. Don't, feel perturbed by it, because every single flinch of your eyes or your face or your hands shows on screen. If you're nervous on screen, it will show on screen. If you're not confident on screen, it will show on screen. The
True.
public is not naive, you know.
And
Shahzad,
they're so
immediately
unforgiving.
know.
Unforgiving.
No, they're not. They forgive a lot, but I'm just saying that despite the fact you need to have a certain persona, because you're an anchor, you represent a certain channel, especially when it comes to a state channel. So, you know, you need to have that aura about you, that confidence about you,
True.
and that flow in the language in which you speak to the public, because nevertheless, I can understand, and you also know that we're talking in front of a camera, but you should always have that sensation that you're talking to the entire world.
People are
the entire
listening.
world is looking at you. So, you know, and of course you represent the state channel. So, you know, there's an added responsibility to that as well.
True, true, true. It's the same question for you actually, Farokh. And with you, you know, here's the thing, you have this style of delivery, right? And in my 3 years, that has not changed. I'm sure there must have been times where you must be nervous, for example, for doing a breaking news or taking a beeper or something. It just doesn't show on screen. It does not. Where does that come from? Is it a lot of training in front of the mirror?
Time teaches you a lot, and with the passage of time, you gain the confidence that you need.
Right.
And as Umar was mentioning, that you need to have a certain persona on screen. Because
Absolutely.
we are speaking to a camera. So we need to behave in a manner that people don't get to know that even if we are nervous, it shouldn't show on screen.
That's
So
true.
I think with time you get that confidence that you need to deliver on screen.
But
Well,
when you-
Shiza, before that, I'd like to ask you a question. When you started, of course, on television, and you said you did news with
Yeah.
Farokh
I
as
did
well.
a lot of-
Did you have any points of time when you were extremely nervous? Do you remember your first time?
Well, with my first ever time, I do clearly remember, and the control room MCR, they were so supportive. So I did the headlines for the first time, and I came out. I felt like they were not my best, of course, because it was the first time. So I came back. I was shivering. I was like, "How was it?" And they all stood up and clapped, and they welcomed me. It was really warm of them. But with Farokh, so initially, what used to happen when beepers are basically the calls that you take of your correspondents during the news, right? So whenever a beeper would happen, especially in sports or something like that, I'd be like, Farokh, please aap kar de, please aap kar de. And of course, he's a big sport, he's a big help, he would do that. But at times, Farokh would be like, aapko bhi seekhna chahiye.
Shiza,
So I
I
had to-
remember clearly that you used to tell me that I'm only confused when I'm reading the news with you. It doesn't happen with other anchors. So I remember I used to go and tell the desk in charge, please change her shift.
So that
try
she's
to put her
more
in some
comfortable.
she's put her in with anchors which whom she's comfortable with, na? So, but they didn't do that. I think.
But I think it was a good decision on their end as well, because I got to learn a lot from you, and because you were experienced as well. So I had the satisfaction that in case something goes wrong, Farokh will handle it. And I think that is the type of trust you need to put in your colleagues or your co-workers as well. Hashra, did you find that sort of bond over here? Are people helpful? And don't look at them, just need the honest answers, okay?
No, there are a lot of helpful people here, and you know, there are a lot of people who have groomed me here, you know, in terms of reporting, in terms of, you know, correcting my pronunciations, especially
Yes, go on.
Farokh, and especially with Umar. So yeah, people are really helpful here, and I had a really good experience here. And I remember my first time, because I was nervous, like, you know, everyone else is when first I'm going on screen. And I remember I came, you know, and 2 hours earlier here, and I started, you know, reading it again and again. And I remember by the time I got to studio, I, you know, remembered each and every word. You know, sort of rot
That's
learning.
smart, actually, right? You couldn't go wrong.
Yeah, and my first bulletin was really, really good. I'm really proud of it,
Aw.
because I didn't had any mistake in it. And
That's nice.
Yeah, I was correcting the, you know, some sort of mistakes that, you know, got into the script. So I'm proud of that, because.
And we are proud of you, let me just say that. But here's the interesting part. So Hajra belongs to a military background, and it is a stereotype, but it is a very widely accepted stereotype that military dads are usually really resistant of especially letting their kids into media industry. And especially with my dad, it was so, because he was in intelligence, whatnot. So I want you to share your story, and especially being a female, was it hard for you to convince your parents, your family, whatnot?
Right.
Hold on to that thought, because I want to hear that after the break. Shiraz, why don't you actually take us out of this show with one of your favorite songs?
Okay.
And let me just say, he's one of our best singers that we do get our hands on to for the show.
Yeah, that's so sweet of you. I actually tried to make it up. as it's 8th, I guess, 8th birthday
Yes, it
for
is.
PTV World. So wish you guys very best of luck
Thank
for
you.
the coming years, and I hope you guys get along with it. Like you guys, whenever I actually come to the show, I feel like there's a family talking to me, and you guys have been
Oh,
so
we feel the
supportive.
same actually.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
for saying that.
Here's this song
Yeah.
by Strings.
Perfect.
सर किए ये पहाड़ दरियाओं की गहराइयों में तुझे ढूंढा है सर किए ये पहाड़ दरियाओं की गहराइयों में तुझे ढूंढा है अभी जा एक बार मेरे आने से ना लूटो मेरे गम का करार मेरे आने से ना लूटो मेरे गम का करार देखे तुझे जब ये आंखें मैं खो जाऊं इन आँखों के रास्ते से तेरे दिल में समाऊं कुछ कहना चाहूं तुझे मैं कुछ सुन ना पाऊं तेरे बिना मेरा जीवन जैसे कोई सुना गाऊं दूर 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 से कोई आए कहीं चुपके से वो दिल में समा जाए साजना
Beautiful, Shirastu. Amazing as always. And I think this
I
was
heard him for the first time.
really, that's nice. And it was really refreshing, especially early in the morning. I mean, I didn't want some bang bang, especially early. So thank you for doing that as well.
Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, right now we're headed to a very short break. We'll be back within a minute or so. And when we do come back, actually, we will talk about a lot of things. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hold that thought and come back to Hajra because I don't feel like going out on a break yet. So, Hajra, tell me about your story. Was it hard convincing your family and just to be on TV? Because let's just say that it's not a very widely accepted profession, especially for ladies.
Right, right. You're right, and especially we have a very conservative society here, right?
Yes.
And people are usually not very, supportive of women working on media. But no, I didn't find any hardships working in the TV because my father was very supportive of that,
Yes.
and he really wanted me to, exercise my passion, especially in reporting and in journalism. And he said that yes, do go there. But he said that all my life I've just earned izzat or dignity in my life. I'm not a very sort of a rich person. And I think you can relate to that because we both are from the military background.
I had the same lecture, to be honest.
Yeah, and he said that don't do anything that sort of violates that. And I really remember his words. And until now that I try to maintain a persona of decency at everywhere that I go at the workplace.
Hajra, and let me just say that I don't think you have to even put in effort for that. You are naturally that.
Thank
It's
you
not
so
just that I'm seeing you at PTV. I know you even before that as well.
But Shiza, there's a very interesting anecdote there.
Yeah.
I did not know that she belongs to a military background. I did not even know that you belong to one.
Oh,
In fact,
come on, you don't know that?
No, I didn't know that. So
wow.
this is a revelation for me today at least.
Okay.
For Hajra, I interviewed her father for one of the segments for my show
Yes.
recently. And Hajra had never told me that he was coming as my guest or whatever. When the segment got over, and I said, it was a really good interaction with you, and then he just blurted it out. He said, you know my daughter, and I said, do I? I don't. He said, my daughter works for PTV World, and I said, really?
Okay.
Who is she? And he said, Hajra Sati. I said, oh my God, why didn't you tell me that before?
Right.
Why didn't Hajra tell me that? And he said, no, I don't like to kind of boast about that too often. But very decent guy, I found out, and a very good person to interact with, and I have to say that on screen. And so I told that to Hajra as well, because she was deliberately and desperately wanting the link of the show. So,
So
that
cute.
I gave it to her. But it is very important for any good person or any good professional to come from a good family. When you come from a good family,
It shows.
a family that supports you no matter what, you are also groomed from the very beginning. And I think that shows on screen.
That does. That is so true as well. And can I tell you guys a secret? Hajra used to be a theatre in university. And I think it doesn't come as a surprise as well, but she was. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I am actually heading out to a short break. I have a massive surprise for you when you guys come back, so please stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to World this morning. And well, I spoke about a surprise. Here's the surprise. And I said it's big because it is big. So welcome, Shahzad. How are you doing?
Well, I'm doing perfectly fine, and I'm glad, I'm thankful, alhamdulillah, that, I was able to make it today as well. And, there was this thought which kept on coming in my mind as well. And it was like, God forbid, unfortunately, if I'm not able to reach out on such a special day,
Right.
where it's an occasion, where it's a festivity for each one of us, because one way or the other, I think, PTV World has definitely shaped our lives, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll be honest, because I used to be a VJ before, but before I say that, I think I'm thankful to all of you people for joining us on this day as well.
You know,
Umer's
Shehzad,
like,
I remember you with the long hair,
Yeah.
and you know, with the very dandy look about you. And now there's a completely refined look about you with time, especially on PTV World and on PTV Sports as well, because you
Exactly.
do shows over there as
Exactly.
well. But coming to, tell us about your first day on PTV World, because I asked Shizza, but I haven't asked
Yeah,
you.
this is where I was going, but I wanted to thank you people in the first place that you guys took out time, especially you. You are a superstar anyway, so
he's our
it's
celeb
always
over
wonderful to
here.
have Umar Khalid Bhatt around you as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I had a very different image coming from a private channel where I had long hair. I was a video jockey for a music channel, so it was a very different pick for me coming down to PT World, and that too as a news anchor. So I was inducted as a news anchor initially. So it wasn't really very exciting. I wasn't very good with English as well. So, having Fahim Bangash and Umar Khalid Bhatt around me helped me quite a lot, and these were the kind of people who always were like, you know what, it's not any rocket science, you'll be able to do it. And Fahim would actually write all of those words which I would mispronounce. And then
He still does, by the way.
I was going to say.
yeah, and then tell them to me afterwards. I'm glad that he didn't say it while we were on air, कि ये गलत बोल रहे हो तुम, but I think one way or the other, it has shaped my life. It has helped me get into all of those ministry ke shows, and it's a very different image.
The networking is good as well, no?
The networking is good, and plus as a matter of fact, I think that a lot of educated people actually belong to our audience. So I think that's one thing which was great. And then the ideas keep on popping up, and that's it. Here we are today, Alhamdulillah, celebrating PTV World's birthday. How do you feel, Shiza, about it? I want to know.
I feel absolutely ecstatic as well, Shazad. And just early in the show, I actually did let out my excitement. I was speaking a lot. But here's the thing, yes, it is absolutely great. And I think I was just telling them, especially when you do come from a military, or I want to say strict or an uptight background. So my parents actually, my mom actually did come to the office. She took a tour. She met with the producers. She met with the then head of whoever it was in place of Masood Beg Saab, right? And then she was like, okay, you know what, it's an educated environment and I wouldn't mind you working here. And that is when I got a heads up for, okay, you can actually work here.
And actually the building is very impressive and very spacious.
And especially that
newsroom
Sarkari tag with it, I think that also satisfies
I don't know whether
them.
they're saying it with all their heart or whether there's a little bit of sarcasm
Shazad,
behind it.
you know what, I think
No,
we should
no,
just leave it there.
But I want to ask one question from Farokh.
Yeah.
And Farokh, ladies and gentlemen, happens to be one of those people who obviously joined PTV while we were actually still thinking of being on PTV as well. And he's one of those people who's had like a constant kind of performance always. He's whenever you're going to look at him, there's a
He's
different
very
image of
neat
Farokh.
and proper.
There's always a very different image of Farokh.
Consistency,
He's like,
consistency.
consistency, and he's always like that. And Farokh, this is what I want to ask you, man. How do you do that? I mean, there are some days when you want to feel naughty. There are days when you want to.
Oh, really?
when
I don't know that person.
I have never seen
I'll
Farokh
tell you.
naughty.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You need to have some different emotion to yourself. So, but always he's serene, he's calm, and there he is, man. He's not going to utter any extra words, and he'll be like,
Professional,
I'm going to do my
serious,
job. He's very professional,
dignified.
So, how did you do that all through these years when we had cartoons like me, and I'm just going to refer to myself.
Well, not on PTV World.
Yeah, not on PTV World, but yes, still, off the record as well. Farokh is just like that. Anyways, so is it your personality, or you want to be professional whenever you're around people you work with?
No, it is my personality. I've always been an introvert, a reserved person. So for me, it was even a challenge coming on in the
television.
media field and coming in front of the camera. So yeah, that's just my personality. I like being reserved. I like being serious. But yeah, sometimes I have a naughty side. Maybe you guys haven't seen it.
We haven't.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't.
Wait, I don't
So,
think
in the
anyone
8
at
years,
PTV
I haven't.
has.
Yeah, even I haven't.
All right, so Farokh, here's the thing. Again, the same old thing. Like you said, you have not. We haven't seen you joke, man. I don't. I mean, you do become part of conversations. We never see you joke. So
Okay,
first
then
of all, you have to think of a joke. Secondly, yeah, after a few months, I was doing news with him, and it took me quite some months. And then finally, after a few months, Farokh goes on like, I don't know, he mentions a movie or a show, something. He goes like, "Aapne ye dekha hai." And I was so happy. I was like, you know what, maybe we're becoming friends.
You really made
Yay.
conversation.
Yes, I was like, I have a friend at PTV. But yeah, then I felt like maybe he needs a space to probably be comfortable around. And then, of course, our conversations were of quality, and I absolutely enjoy talking to him about what degree I should do, his great advice, or what I should watch and stuff. So I just made this entire statement so you could think of a joke. So now it's your turn for a joke.
Or probably you can take your time. You can take your time, you know, if you need a little bit of time to think about a joke. I'll move on to Hajra over here, because Hajra, ladies and gentlemen, is the only person whom I call sister over here in the studio
asked for
whenever
it.
she's coming in for the news as well. I don't know why we started doing that, but Hajra, why did we do that in the first place? Why was I pushed to a limit where I actually had to call you?
No, he
I
was
think it came
shocked.
naturally to him.
I think we were doing something probably, and
He was-
and then all of a sudden I was like, "Gee, bhai," or probably she said "bhai" first.
Yeah.
No,
I remember
no,
that.
You called me like Pen.
Man, kaisi hain aap?
Yeah.
Out of respect, man. That's how it was.
It
But
was so-
how has been your experience so far?
It's been amazing. It's been amazing, and I'm really grateful to PTV because we had a really tough year last year, especially with the pandemic going on, and we saw
Oh,
that
the pandemic hasn't ended, Hajra.
Yeah, what did
it's
you
still
think?
there.
But
It's
that's
still there.
cute.
It's still there, of course. And a lot of media houses started shedding their workforce because obviously they could not bear the expenditures. But I'm really grateful that PTV didn't do this to me and it took care of me. So and I will always cherish this, that PTV took care
Wow,
of me.
that's wonderful.
great. Isn't that great?
Yeah,
Shazad?
that is great.
Absolutely. And I think
The fact that
Both want to talk this, say something, but each
I want
one
to
I
has-
love
yeah,
Farooq.
here's a joke.
Farooq, yes.
the fact that you call Hajra your sister, I think makes her the most lucky girl over here, the most safest girl over here.
That's the joke. That's the joke. That's the joke, man. That's good. That's good. And I wanted her to feel safe. That's why she's saying
Thank
that
you so much.
that her experience over here has been wonderful, man. Imagine looking at her brother early in the morning saying "Assalamu alaikum, Baji." It makes her life wonderful.
Ajay, Mr. Shehzad, there's one thing that I've always, I'm not married, all right, but I want to understand how the both of you who are married now, so is Farooq.
He doesn't mind.
How does one juggle with the personal and the professional life?
this was going to be my next
Yeah,
question, but
I'm
thank
going
you.
to say that. I'm going
So-
to talk about it.
Okay.
There's no juggling, honestly, because when you're through with your work, it does not really matter whether you're married or not. I think it's just that there's this drive that you actually have to work. I was on air on another channel. It must have taken me 15 minutes, but I wanted to be here. So if you've decided for something and if you are dedicated towards it, I think that you can make it. Doesn't really matter if you're single or married, for that matter. But I have a question for you.
Yeah.
The question I have for you is that for the longest period of time, alhamdulillah. I know that it's not safe to say this, but I'm going to say this, that I've grown up watching you on television. You were very young. You started your television when you were 16 or 17,
Yes.
probably.
Oh.
And you started, I think, as a
Sports
as,
anchor.
as a sports
Yes,
anchor. Then you
yes.
went
For
on to
PTV
music.
News.
Then you went on to news. Then you went
Yes.
on to Urdu shows.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, when there was PTV, you were here as well, which definitely shows that you're very versatile. But did that thought ever come across your mind that okay, probably I need to change my profession, because you were a doctor in the first place, then you did masters, that too with 4 CGPA. It's
A gold medalist. Yes.
Yeah, gold
that wasn't,
medalist,
that
yeah.
wasn't an
Mashallah,
easy
man.
task, believe me, when you're working at television. And at the same time, you have to go to university 5 days a week, attend classes 4 to 5 hours
Yeah.
a day. And despite that, get good grades. That was not the intention. The intention was that now that I had joined television full time, because when PTV World started, I was working somewhere else,
Yeah.
all right? I was working for an embassy. When PTV World started, they gave me the option to come full time and
Alright.
join PTV full time.
Okay.
So I thought about it and I said, all right, let's take the plunge. But when I took that, I said it's better to kind of have a certain, there was a practical experience that I had, but there was a theoretical experience that was missing.
Alright.
So, being an MBBS doctor does not give you that edge in journalism.
Yeah.
So I wanted to learn, understand what the basics of journalism were.
Yeah.
That is why I did my master's in mass
Mashallah,
communication.
That is
Shukriya.
really
So did you ever come across the thought that okay, probably I need to change the TV channel I'm working for?
No, I
Never.
think Pakistan television has become more or less my family. I did switch to another private channel, Aaj,
Yes.
for some time. I did a morning show with Huma Amin
Yes.
Shah. But despite the fact, PTV is the place where I've always been.
Yeah.
PTV is the place I call my second home, or even my first home, depending on the number of hours that I have put in.
Yeah.
For
I think
real, you do a lot of, and especially when it's Ramzan or something special. Umar is.
you've done shows with me for
Yeah,
Ramzan as
that's
well.
true. For Ramzan or something, Umar is on your TV screens 24/7. You'll see him in the morning, you'll see him in the evening, in the night.
That's why you
Mashallah,
grow up
mashallah.
seeing him, no?
Mashallah, it's a good thing though. But Farooq, now I think I'm going to actually take Omar's question onto you as well, where he said that is there a certain way that you try to strike the right balance between work and family, first of all? And secondly, does it ever happen that when you go home after a long shift and your family actually suggests कि आज आपकी टाई नहीं अच्छी लग रही थी या ये सूट ना पहना करें, or do you get suggestions on your looks or on how you deliver news or anything?
He's good with balance, man. He takes trips to Thailand. I mean, he's great.
No, so far it's been fine. Yeah, I've been able to manage, strike that balance. It's all about managing your time properly.
Okay.
If you can give a certain amount of time every day to your family, then it's okay. I
matters.
don't think
And the family needs to understand as
Yeah.
well, you know,
Yeah.
that you are in a profession that, that pushes you to the edge more or less sometimes, you know. Sometimes you're extremely edgy because you have a lot of responsibility on you. You have to give a certain show.
Yeah.
Shahzad has done live shows. You've done live shows. Both of you have compared shows
Yes.
as hosts for
Yeah.
different ministries and
Yeah.
for, different big wigs as well. So, you know, there's a certain responsibility on that
Exactly.
end, because not
True.
only do you represent yourself, you represent this organization.
Exactly.
Absolutely,
And that's true. And which is why, since we only left with last 5 minutes and we have to do the cake cutting ceremony, so I'm going to start with something. And I'm sorry, Hajra, that I'm going to put you into the spot. And it is that, what are those 3 things you would want to change in PT world? And that's a question for all of us.
Yeah.
Let's start.
And Beksa will be hearing, so he'll take your suggestions, okay?
And he's a great boss. I think he'll be happy
he's
with that. Please go
Open
ahead.
to
I think,
ideas.
there should be more harmony here in terms of, sort of synergizing the different sub-departments here, and that would, sort of increase the productivity here.
Yeah.
And I think the rest of the two, you should pass them.
All right, please go ahead. Farooq, any one thing you want to change about this institution?
One of the reasons why this channel was launched was not only to improve, bring the positive image of Pakistan to the world, but also to project it as a tourist-friendly and investment-friendly country.
Yeah.
So I would like to see good business shows being run on PTV World, which will tell
Open
the
more
world the
avenues.
investment potential of Pakistan.
Exactly.
So
Wonderful.
That's smart, actually.
Yeah, that is very smart. What's up? What about you?
More programming, more and more more outdoor shows,
Yeah.
more of you doing your morning shows outside with people,
Hair night
talking
would
to
be so much
perspective
fun.
of people. I mean, I'd like to see the morning show in the north one day, you know, in
Hi,
Skardu,
Vivesh. Yeah,
doing
na?
outside, sitting outside or walking and talking to the different tourists that are there.
Exactly.
I would love to do that. What about you, though? What do you want to change?
Well, it's your turn first.
Shahraz is thinking, you know, at the same time, he's like,
No, I know what I want to say.
Okay, this one thing I really want to change, and I think it will boost my morale, especially. I want a physical set for my show.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's wonderful. You're still thinking about yourself. But it's wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. I think that, you can get away with a lot of things. The only thing I'm going to talk about today is that since we are here to compete with the international audiences, ladies and gentlemen, and all of those international channels which we have out there, I think this is just a suggestion or a submission, a humble submission, and that is, since I'm into fitness as well, I want all my anchor persons and everybody who's appearing on TV to be fit.
Oh,
I think this is one demand I'm making, not from the channel, but from all of those people who appear on television.
Shouldn't
That
it
is so
occur
true.
naturally to
Exactly.
people?
That is so true. There should be a proper mechanism evolved for all the anchors, so
Exactly.
that from this time to this time, X or Y anchor will go to this
Yes.
game. There should be a subscription maybe
Exactly.
given by
Or probably
PTV
we should
World.
have a gym in the office as well. But since we're very short on time, I think, ladies and
think
gentlemen, what we're going to do right now is that we're going to request all our guests to take off their mics so that we can probably come closer to the table.
But Shiraz has to sing, so you
Yeah.
keep sitting and
yeah.
sing.
You keep sitting and sing, but you will get the cake, don't worry.
Yeah.
But right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to request all our cameramen, all our engineers in the MCR and the producers to please come in and join us, because we wouldn't have been able to, come this far. Exactly. Jamshed Sultan Sahab, our executive producer, one of the most hard-working gentlemen I've come across.
He's the guy who's wearing the
Please
blue-
come in, please come in.
Yes.
Hasnan Hamid, ladies and gentlemen, one of our
Coordinator
come over
and-
here, please, everybody. I think we'll have to do it together, please.
Yes.
You guys will have to take off your mics.
Okay.
And yes,
Umair
we will have to
Shahid,
face towards
why
this
don't you join as well?
camera? You are a
Because-
producer as well, Hasnan. You should have learned by now. All right, so Jamshed Sahab, are you going to do the honors?
Jamshed
Ajay,
Sahab
please.
should
Everybody
like
coming,
that.
Junaid bhai.
No, Jamshed Sahab.
You know-
you should like.
Okay. We want everybody to be here. Yeah, please make sure this is cold fire.
Someone.
Do we really need to peel it off first?
No, you don't. It will just start popping in the right time. In the right time.
advantage of live television.
I know, right? It's also fun. Okay, so this is like a super zoom in. We've never had that. Really? Yeah.
Fine.
Is it happening or not? Oh
Yes. Come on, we gotta sing as well.
Oh,
Happy birthday to you. Come on, everybody, please join hands.
Happy birthday
to you. I want the pineapple on the cake. Yeah.
Happy birthday
Day to you. Wow.
Perfect. It's such a Shazad thing to do. He would do
What
that.
wonderful. Imagine, look at my hands and everything. And go, wow, that was a great comeback. But ladies and gentlemen, please remember us, our entire team and everybody present over here in your prayers as well. Look after yourselves and please continue to stay tuned to PTV World. Happy birthday.
to us.
Us. Bye.
Take care, you guys. Stay safe.